Brilliance Audio presents The Silence by Kendra Elliot, performed by Emily Sutton Smith. "Are you caught up in this season of Queer Eye?" Ray asked as they moved down the hallway, walking tight to the walls to avoid stepping in a wide, smeared blood trail, but not close enough to knock the old photos off the wall. Mason paused at a black-and-white photo of young boys in cowboy hats sitting on a pony. He owned a nearly identical one of him and his brother. Probably every family of his generation had one. Ray continued talking. "The last episode is a real tearjerker." Ava had the show on the other night. Mason had stealthily watched from behind the safety of a book, pretending to read instead of watch the emotional makeover show. "I think she watched that one." As if he could forget. He'd held his face completely stiff to fight back tears as the 5 co-stars had kindly rebuilt the self-confidence of a man his own age. 50 wasn't far ahead in Mason's future. A humbling number that didn't match how he felt on the inside. "Yeah, I already texted with her about it," Ray sighed. "Fucking brutal show." It was normal that Mason's fiancée texted with his partner. When Mason couldn't help her choose between roses or peonies for their wedding flowers, Ray was stoked to share his opinion. Same with discussions about women's boots or the latest rom-com. Mason appreciated their friendship. The men halted at the kitchen entrance, the origin of the smeared blood trail before them. Mason looked up. More arcs of blood streaked the ceiling and one wall. The kitchen's tired wood floor was marbled with smears and small pools of blood. "Guess the rubber mallet damage wasn't sufficient in here," said Ray. "He used it again in the bathroom." Or he simply felt like it. Mason could almost feel physical echoes of rage in the room. He wondered what the mallet hitting the skull had sounded like, and fought back a shudder. He spotted the broken window not far from the back door and stepped carefully around the blood, the booties covering his cowboy boots muffling the usually sharp sounds of his tread. "Glass pieces are outside," Ray said. "The break wasn't from someone trying to get in." Mason pointed at the arcs of blood near the window. "I think someone hit it with the mallet. Could have been accidental. Maybe not." "I can't think of a reason to break the window from the inside," Ray said. Mason agreed. Why break the window when you could unlock the door to get out? He opened the door, which led to a small concrete patio. A large grill stood in one corner, and the faint odor of char and barbecue reached him. He inhaled deeply, hoping the smell could drive away the scent of death. The June afternoon was hot, creeping into the high 90s, unusual for this early in the summer. The small patch of lawn had more dry brown areas than green, and a weathered gray fence surrounded the small backyard, hiding it from the adjacent homes. "How'd the neighbors spot the broken window?" asked Ray. "I'd like to know, too." Someone would have to deliberately peer over the tall fence to see the back side of the home. Mason had asked an officer to bring the neighbor back for an interview. "Mason, Ray." Medical examiner Dr. Gianna Trask stood in the doorway behind them. "They told me you were here." Both detectives had worked with the ME before. Her husband was the brother of investigative journalist Michael Brody. Mason didn't know how to label his testy relationship with Brody. Not friendship. Not acquaintanceship. What do you call having a mutual respect but high suspicion of each other? The reporter would be at Mason and Ava's wedding, along with Gianna and her husband. Hands were shaken, greetings exchanged. "I haven't looked at the body yet," Dr. Trask said, "but judging by the green face of the patrolman who let me in and the mess in the kitchen, it's a bad one." Her voice was light, but her dark eyes were grim. "Keep an eye out for a missing finger," Ray said. One of her eyebrows shot up. "Noted." She stepped back inside, leaving the door open a crack. Back to work, said Ray. More house to cover. Mason sucked in a last inhalation of the faint barbecue scent, wishing he could make it last.